Banger after banger.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Hero Chris back at you with another one. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, all those cool things, all those vibes, man. You already know what time it is, man. And I'm back at you with your AEW Dynamite review. First things first, of course, rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. Also, happy birthday, Jay Briscoe. This is taking place the day of Jay Briscoe's birthday. So it's already been reported that somehow, some way, Tony Khan pulled it off. He was able to secure Mark Briscoe wrestling on tonight's episode of Dynamite, as well as Jay Briscoe actually getting a tribute. Like, they actually showed a video package, and it was really well done. Like, I can't even lie, it almost got me. It almost choked me up a little bit, made me tear up a little bit. It was a very well done video package, you know, highlighting Jay Briscoe, showing footage of him with his family, with his brother, of course, with his children, his father, you know, his whole family, and of course showing his time in Ring of Honor, wrestling the Young Bucks and Adam Cole and Samoa Joe. Of course, FTR, their classic trilogy of matches. It's been a week since Jay passed away, and it's still hard to process. It still doesn't seem real that Jay Briscoe is gone. You know what I mean? But I do feel like AEW did do a good job of, you know, paying tribute to Jay Briscoe. And I'm gonna just go ahead and go to the main event and talk about the rest of the show. But of course, the main event was Mark Briscoe, Jay's brother, taking on Jay Lethal, and a very emotional match. Like, as soon as Jay Lethal walked out, you could see him wearing the Briscoe shirt. He was very emotional. Sanjay Dutt was with him. He was very emotional as well. And then making his AEW in-ring debut, Mark Briscoe, man, the master of redneck kung fu, the one and only, man. Chicken himself. That is such a cool nickname, Chicken. But of course, Mark Briscoe won. The match was good. And one thing I will say that if this is indeed your first time seeing Mark Briscoe wrestle, I do encourage you to get on YouTube, check out some of the Briscoe brothers promos, check out some of their matches. If you're not really familiar with the Briscoe brothers as a tag team, definitely encourage you to do that, man. Very legendary tag team that never really technically made it mainstream. Like, they never made it to WWE, even though WWE was very interested in bringing the Briscoes in. They never made it to the WWE. Of course, with the whole Warner Media thing, until tonight, they didn't really get their chance to be showcased on AEW television. But, you know, it is what it is. Things happen for a reason. It is good to see Mark Briscoe on television. He beat Jay Lethal with the Jay Driller. And, of course, his brother's finishing move. And after the match, there was on the big screen, they had Jay Briscoe's face. And the AEW locker room came out to show love and respect to Jay Briscoe. Very emotional moment. Very emotional showcasing of love for the Briscoe family. So rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. Happy birthday, Jay Briscoe. Thoughts and prayers are with your family, of course. Now, as for the rest of the show, it started off with the JAS, like Sex God, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara taking on a team I'm calling Beige Rage, and Action Andretti and Ricky Starks. Pretty solid opener. It did a good job of showcasing Action Andretti. Dude does a lot of flips, and he's good with bouncing off the ropes. And commentary did do a good job of putting Action Andretti over, putting over the fact that he's only been wrestling for 3 years. And for someone who's only been wrestling for 3 years, the dude looks pretty good, man. He's very, very young. I don't know exactly how old he is, but he is still pretty young in the wrestling game. it's going to be interesting to see exactly where Action Andretti goes with his future. I think the dude's going to be a star, man. Only time will tell where he'll be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. But as for this night, him and Ricky Starks took the loss. There was outside shenanigans caused by Daniel Garcia. The referee was distracted and he hit Action Andretti with with Jericho's bat. Sammy Guevara got the win. He hit GTH on Action Andretti, and the JAS won again. Ricky Starks wasn't the one that took the pin. It was Action Andretti, so that was okay. Where this feud goes, man, I don't know. Feuds with Chris Jericho have a nasty habit of overstaying their welcome and taking entirely too long to get to the point. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a long-term feud or a long-term story like what we're seeing in WWE with the Bloodline. Like that feud, the whole story's been going on for like over 2 years now, and it hasn't gotten old for me yet. But the thing with Chris Jericho's feuds are, you feel like they've reached the point where they should end, but it just keeps going and going and going. And it gets to the point where you're just tired of seeing everyone involved, whether it's Chris Jericho or whoever it is he's feuding with. And I'm not necessarily at that point yet with Ricky Starks, with the Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho feud, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get there pretty soon. So I don't know what they do to keep this feud alive or to keep it fresh, but I don't know. They got to think of something. So next up was a TNT Championship match. The Open Challenge continues. Darby Allin taking on 1/3 of the House of Black and Buddy Matthews. Pretty solid match. Darby Allin and Sting wrestled the Great Muta in a tag team match. I'm blanking on the partner's name. I apologize about that. But they did put that over on commentary that Darby Allin isn't at 100%. You can see him kind of like bandaged up. His leg was kind of wrapped up, so whenever he went to run or dive, he wasn't running at his normal Darby Allin full speed. He was like moving at more of a half speed, and Buddy Matthews did do a good job of capitalizing on that. The House of Black came out to cause interference, but Ortiz actually came out and made the save, and him and Sting ended up fighting off not Darby Allin, but Malachi Black and Brody King. As far as the match goes, of course Darby Allin was gonna win. I didn't really think that Buddy Matthews was gonna win. He did hit the buckle powerbomb and the curb stomp, shades of his Messiah, master, leader, and Seth Rollins. I know Seth Rollins is somewhere, and wherever he is, just laughing and cackling and just pumping his fists that his pupil was keeping the memory alive. But after the match, we had a in-ring interview between Tony Schiavone and Darby Allin, pretty much saying, "Well, what's next for you, Darby Allin?" And before Darby could really say anything, Samoa Joe ended up interrupting. So it's being made official that next week, and I think a no-holds-barred match is going to be the rematch, Samoa Joe taking on Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. And my only predictions for that is Darby Allin's going to win. But I think we're going to see the return of Wardlow. We haven't seen Wardlow since he lost, since he lost to Samoa. No, did he lose to Samoa Joe? I want to say, since Samoa Joe cut his hair, and we haven't really seen Wardlow since then. There's no telling as to what he's been up to or what his mindset is going to be. But I feel like we're going to see the return of Wardlow next week during the either during the championship match or after the championship match. But I do think that Wardlow is going to come back next week. Alright, so this next match was kind of pointless. I mean, it was okay to see Hook on TV. It was cool to see Jungle Boy on TV. But the whole Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, private party contract situation that happens on Dark and Dark Elevation, honestly, I don't care. Like, I like Matt Hardy, I like Private Party, I like Isaiah Cassidy. Ethan Page is alright. Stokely Hathaway, I really enjoy him. But this whole shit seemed pointless. Like, there was absolutely no reason why this had to take place. Besides just getting Hook on TV and Jungle Boy on TV. I mean, there could have been another way you could have done that. But, I don't know. The whole thing with the firm is still going on. I don't know why. And honestly, I do not care. Jungle Hook won. That's all you really need to know, man. Jungle Hook won. good for them. Hooray! Can we just end this already? Whatever this is between the Firm and Jungle Hook. Move Jungle Hook on to the tag team championships. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the tag team titles a little bit later. But yeah, man, I don't care. I honestly don't care. But something I do care about is Adam Cole, baby. We saw another promo video from him. And you saw him kind of training and getting ready to make his return to the ring. And the way they teased it, it looks like he's gonna return at Revolution. He's gonna wrestle at Revolution. Who he wrestles, I don't know. Like, who do you guys think? Like, who do you think Adam Cole's first feud should be? His first opponent back since returning from concussions and recovering from his injuries. Who do you guys think his opponent should be? Honestly, I have no idea. I just want to see Adam Cole wrestle. So, like I said, speaking of the tag team titles, we had the family therapy session between the Acclaimed and the Ass Boys. It was relatively quick. It didn't go on too long. It was like a pre-tape. First thing first, that therapist, whoever she is fine. She had Twitter in shambles. Everyone was trying to figure out who the therapist was. I believe someone in my mentions did tell me who she was, so I appreciate you, my brother. You already know. Good looks to you. We rock with you. Thank you. But yeah, man, this was pretty much a big setup for the Ass Boys to challenge the Acclaim for the tag team titles. I mean, that's cool. That's cool, I guess. I mean, it's gonna be the Acclaim versus the Ass Boys for the tag team titles. That's pretty much what this was. It was just a setup for the challenge. I mean, I thought that it would be a lot more of an entertaining segment, but that's what it was, man. It's all good. It is what it is. We had a backstage segment between Renee Paquette and Hangman Adam Page, and I believe that that this whole thing was supposed to be a vacation for Jon Moxley, and I think he took like 2 weeks off, and he's gonna wrestle next week. He's actually gonna wrestle Hangman Adam Page one more time, and this was kind of a tense segment because Hangman Adam Page, he was talking a little bit of shit. He was saying that he was gonna knock out Jon Moxley again, and then I don't know where Will Yuta comes from. Like, he always pops up out of nowhere and just like he's always just, I don't know if he just hides behind like some stuff or whatever. Like, he always just knows where to be and just pop up out of nowhere. So pretty much he challenged Hangman Adam Page to a match this Friday on Rampage. And like I said, next week Jon Moxley makes his return from his 2-week vacation to wrestle Hangman once again in the rubber match. Who wins? Honestly, it could go either way. Like, both guys have been teasing like heelish activities, so I don't know who will make their official heel turn. If anybody makes their heel turn, maybe they'll just wrestle a very hard-hitting match. It'll be more hard-hitting than Power Slap, I guess. But yeah, Hangman versus Moxley 3 next week. Speaking of the Blackpool Combat Club, we had Bryan Danielson take on Brian Cage. Solid match, of course, because Bryan Danielson is involved, the best wrestler in the world right now. Pretty solid match. It was kind of that old school WWE style Bryan Danielson, where he's like the underdog taking on the bigger dude. Like I said, it was a pretty solid match. Bryan Danielson won. After the match, Brian Cage was attacking Bryan Danielson. You had MJF come down, and he started putting the boots down Bryan Danielson. And it looked like he was gonna break his arm or attempt to break his arm. Like, he had Bryan Danielson's arm trapped in a chair. And then, of all people to come out to make the save, it was Konosuke to take. Out of all people to make the save, it was Takeshita. Pretty sure AEW is pretty high in Takeshita. Like, everyone likes Takeshita. Like, he's a pretty good wrestler, big dude, solid. Think they got a pretty big plans for Takeshita. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up seeing Takeshita wrestle MJF. Maybe we even might see Takeshita wrestle Brian Cage. I don't know what they got going on. But Takeshita makes a save, and then when they come back for commercial, Renee Paquette's talking to Bryan Danielson, trying to get an update. And the doctor was like, I don't know if you're going to be able to wrestle next week. And Bryan Danielson's like, nah. And nobody's going to be able to stop me from wrestling. I don't care if I have no arms, one arm, both my arms chopped off. He said that he once wrestled for an hour with a torn rotator cuff, I believe. pretty much saying that nothing's going to be able to stop him from wrestling because he wants to get his hands on MJF. He wants to get his hands on that AEW championship, and nothing's going to stand in his way. Broken arm, injury, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, man. Also, it was announced, MJF announced that next week, Bryan Danielson is going to wrestle Timothy Thatcher. Now, if you're not too familiar with who Timothy Thatcher is, he wrestled in NXT for a little bit. Toothless Timmy. He had the fight pit match against Matt Riddle. He was a part of the massive releases that took place a couple of years ago. He's been doing his thing on the indies, wrestling all over the world, and he's making his AEW debut next week, wrestling Bryan Danielson. Whew, that should be a good match. Timothy Thatcher versus Bryan Danielson, yo, sign me up. And finally we have the 9 o'clock and the 9:30 women's match. This was originally supposed to be a triple threat match between Britt Baker, Ruby Soho, and Toni Storm, but it was announced like yesterday that Britt Baker was injured and will be unable to compete, so it was now a one-on-one match. But during the match, Britt Baker came out to the ring. Her music hit. She did the whole DMD thing, distracted Toni Storm, and I thought they're gonna do that thing in wrestling that all wrestlers do, and that was lose to the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, the surprise roll up. But that didn't happen. Ruby Soho hit her finishing move, actually didn't hit the surprise roll, but hit her finishing move and beat Toni Storm 1, 2, 3. And the one thing that they kept mentioning on commentary was the fact that it seems like they're building towards the whole AEW originals locker room as far as the women versus the WWE people coming in. And even before the match, they had promos for both Toni Storm and Ruby Soho. Toni Storm was pretty much talking about how, like, oh man, you're one of us, don't be like them. But Ruby Soho was like, listen, I came to AEW because these are some of the best women's wrestlers in the world. I fought with them, I bled with them. These are some of the best. Don't look down on them just because you came from the other company just like me. So it's looking like Ruby Soho is leaning more towards the AEW side as opposed to being on Team WWE or whatever. So I'm still interested as to where this story goes as far as the whole us versus them, the whole AEW WWE Civil War as far as the women go. But yeah, man, pretty interesting stuff. It looks like not Toni Storm, but Britt Baker is turning face, which makes the most sense because she's the most over women's wrestler in AEW right now. So it makes sense to finally turn her face. So yeah, man, like I said, the main event was Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. I already talked about that. Overall, tonight's episode of Dynamite was really good. A really touching tribute paid to Jay Briscoe. Really emotional main event match. Solid show overall. I can't wait for next week. And now it's time for the rating. Like, what do I rate the show? Does it get an honorary W or does it get an honorary L? Pretty sure you guys can figure out it gets an honorary W. Solid show. I was entertained. I was very sports entertained. Good show, good wrestling, good tribute to Jay Briscoe. But with that being said, I want to hear what you guys think of tonight's episode of Dynamite. Let me know in the comment section below. Like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Be easy. I'm out. Happy birthday, Jay Briscoe. Rest in peace.